you all join me for the pledge of allegiance for our, yes, August 4th, 2025. Ms. Silverton, who lead the church in your leaders.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mary, may we please have a roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Liz Silva,
Present.
Councilmember Scott Funk,
Present.
Councilmember Lorraine Worthy,
Present.
Councilmember Maria Orozco.
Present.
And Mayor Jose Rios.
Present. With the vote. Any member of the vote may address council for a period not to exceed 2 minutes. Council listen to all communications, but will make no comments and take no action. So we have a number of comments, which is make comments, please do so.
Henry Martinez, 112 10th Street. It came to my knowledge that a past board member of the school was being investigated. And I've been hearing scuttlebutt, how come what happened to our family went too far? The problem is we came for years and years. The past administrations and past board members and staff continue believing the lie that we're bad people. When Sonia was president of the school board, I hit some toes when I was investigating stuff at the school. And next thing you know, she sends me her cronies to my house to arrest me, arrest my son, arrest my daughter, try to arrest me because I was speaking at the board meeting. And you guys are forgetting that this is free speech. Whatever happened in this meeting is free speech. Because apparently your cronies over here are taking whatever I'm saying and doing here to prosecute me, saying I'm a bad person. And, you know, free speech. You guys do the Pledge of Allegiance. And now you only gave us 2 minutes? That's hindering free speech. You took away 5 minutes. Then you had it down to 3. Now you're down to 2. That is free speech. Someone needs to look into this 2 minutes that you have on the board. And you guys who are still left from the past administration had the chance to stop this by believing our complaints. And when we had a lot of complaints, they were denied or they were tossed. Thank you.
At any point, comment, correct?
Yeah, it was generalized, but I'm with Mr. Martinez here. 2 minutes doesn't make sense. That's just telling me that the city doesn't want to listen to the public on their ideas, what people need to bring up to the city. Like say if they have a special idea, like you guys want to slurry through the streets here. I don't agree with that because the streets need to be fixed. They don't need to be a Larry going over it. And that's one reason you have 3 minutes so people could come up here and give their ideas, not to cut them down to 2 minutes. That's shameful. You know, looking at downtown, I've been to Soledad, Greenfield, King City, and Soledad is beautiful. They clean the downtown, they make the businesses clean their, or paint their buildings, fix their broken windows and stuff like that. They pressure wash their sidewalks. The same thing with Greenfield and King City. And King City is looking, I don't know if you've been to King City lately, it's looking really, really good. But you go down our downtown, you have broken windows, broken doors, buildings that need painting, a big time painting. The city doesn't look clean at all, it looks dirty. So I think the city needs to get on them and have these businesses clean up their businesses, you know. And to get new businesses in here, you gotta have a nice clean city, not one with the board. There's a one over here at the, I don't know what that used to be, Allen's Hardware Store. Has a big plywood on over the window. That's that's shameful if you guys don't You guys got to do something. Clean up your town. We live here. It's shameful. I even want to move, thinking of moving out here, moving to Soledad. I'm already thinking of putting up our houses for sale and moving out of here. So I talked to Target because the city looks really, really bad. I won't want to live here anymore. Thanks.
Yes.
Hello? I don't know if they did. Hello? What is this now?
We can hear you.
Okay, there, because I was waiting for somebody to tell me to go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, Henry
Pick the volume
Martinez
up a little
Jr.
bit, please.
Huh?
Pick up your volume a little bit, please.
That's on your guys' end.
Okay,
Hold on, what is going on here?
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Henry Martinez Jr. I want to talk about racism in the city of Gonzales. It is everywhere as of late. It is all over the police Facebook. It is all over Gonzales Real News. I've seen it firsthand when Officer Bowen or Bowie, whatever his name is, decided to strike me while detained. You know, I had handcuffs and one of the officers was walking me down a way. He comes up and runs up and just strikes me right in the gut and then tells me, I'm tired of your BS. I'm tired of your family's BS. And I'm like, well, hey, wait a minute. I don't know this dude. And then he has the nerve to come back an hour later while I'm sitting in a police car. He wanted to apologize for his actions. I was like, no, he can, you know, screw off for that. And last time I made an announcement in the city council meeting about the former mayor making death threats. The police department never got a hold of me. And I have never done anything. There's what is it? Making threats all over their Facebook. I don't see them censoring their things. I don't see them coming over and it's like, hey, we see all these problems. Can we help you? It's like, no, I don't see none of that. For a town that has 80% Hispanic people, I'm looking at the board and the 10% is the one that's, you know, is running our city. Where is the fairness in that? You know, there should be more Hispanic people on this board and the school boards. You know, then, you know, this is getting out of hand. And like I said, racism is everywhere. I'm seeing it. Everybody's seeing it. They're talking about it. I even contacted our supervisors.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Your time is up. Okay. Estella, do we have anyone else via Zoom?
No one else via Zoom.
Okay, thank you very much. Mary, any comments via email? All right. That being said, then we'll go ahead and close the public comment period and bring it back for council. Moving on to the consent agenda, I have items 3 through 6. If you've all had an opportunity to review those items, anyone wishing to make a motion, I'll entertain that. Or you want to pull anything? Let's do those.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to item 7. And Mr. Tappan, Kennison Brown, I believe you're up because I believe this is your subject. Could you please read it into the record first? Yeah. You wrote it.
Was it, I can read it, Mr. Mayor, or
Excuse me?
let me read it into the record form?
Okay, sorry. Is that all right?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Either way, No, sorry, your microphone's gonna squeal again.
Well, I gotta have the presentation anyway, so let's give it
Okay.
a shot. I will read it into the record. Yes, thank you. A public hearing to consider approval of one, resolution number 2025-51, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Gonzales determining that the common sense exemption to the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, applies to the proposed sixth cycle housing element, general plan land use text amendment, and zoning ordinance text map amendments as supported by the housing element update, CEQA exemption technical memorandum prepared in February of 2025. Item 2, resolution number 2025-52, resolution of the City Council of the City of Gonzales approving general plan amendment GPA 2025-01, amending the land use element of the general plan and adopting the 2023 to 2031 period housing element update. And a little bit longer here, the last but number 3, introduce, waive first reading and read by title only ordinance number 2025-152. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Gonzales approving the new sixth cycle housing element update by amending Title 12, the zoning regulations and associated zoning map and zoning regulations. Text changes as follows. Provisions in Chapter 12.08, definitions. Chapter 12.20, site plan permits. Chapter 12.48, density bonus. Chapter 12.56, summary of zoning districts and permitted uses. Chapter 12.68, R1, medium density residential district. And Chapter 12.112, general applications, and Chapter 12.120, parking, and the addition of new Chapter 12.54, reasonable accommodations, Chapter 12.110, affordable housing overlay, Chapter 12.154, local education agency lands, Chapter 12.156, employee housing, Chapter 12.158, licensed residential care facilities, and Chapter 12.160, transitional supportive housing, and finishing with and amending the zoning map to comply with the general plan. Maybe that should be my whole report. But maybe I'm reading that in there. So with that, shall I?
Please, staff report.
Yeah, thank you very much. We won't take the hour and a half that the planning commission and I took on July 16th, but on July 14th. But that evening, Mayor Rios and City Council, the City of Gonzales Planning Commission acted on 3 resolutions that night, recommending that the City Council, 1, determining the housing element amendment code and text map changes are exempt from CEQA. 2, that the City Council approve a general plan amendment and the sixth cycle housing element. And 3, adopt an ordinance to implement the housing element through those amendments and additions as I just read. So while the staff report speaks to the many years of history and background in this housing policy effort, I'm going to present the highlights now. And following these few slides, recommendation, I welcome your questions. So, Mary or Stella, can we have the next slide, please? Yeah, so basically just a brief agenda. We're going to go over some highlights and these following sections practically is introduced through the record reading of the item. Let's go to the next slide, please. So the highlights in the housing element on the next page basically have it organized around, next page, please. That it's one of the 8 mandated elements of the city's general plan. And the state mandates that we update it every 8 years. And we, along with many other cities and counties, are a little behind here in completing our 6th cycle. It's supposed to be in effect by December of 23, but here we are, right here. But the housing element is also the city's plan for accommodating our jurisdiction's fair share of the regional housing needs. And the next slide shows basically that the housing element has 5 major components. I'll read the blue boxes across the top. That it talks about what's the housing needs assessment for the community and what's an assessment of fair housing for our local population. The third box there, what are the constraints to housing development, such as governmental and non-governmental constraints or market trends or even infrastructure constraints, talks about that. The fourth box, the housing element addresses resources and site inventory. Where are the zoned areas that can have designated new housing to them? And how do ADUs and that construction, how does that play into our housing counts? And then the fourth box hidden by the screen up there is actually an evaluation of policies and programs. And so the housing element that's before us now kind of takes apart and says, what didn't work in the 5th cycle? And what do we need to shape up and bring forward for the 6th cycle? And as you all know, we didn't build much housing during the 5th cycle. So moving to the next slide here, we've heard this word RHNA spelled, pronounced RHNA, Regional Housing Needs Assessment. And I've highlighted in yellow in your staff report and also on the screen here, the regional allocation on the far right of 1,266 homes. And the columns up and down from left to right are where we are supposed to find land use capacity in our existing city so that at least 173 very low income homes could be constructed somewhere, 115 low income homes, 321 moderate income level homes, and 657 kind of market rate homes that we need to demonstrate that we've got land areas where those could be done over this 8-year period. Not all overnight and not right now, but over an 8-year period of which we're already about 2 years into. And I thought just for contrast to show you the other cities here, and it's really interesting if you think about, like, say, the city of Monterey, 3,654 units, but we all know how constrained they are for even water. It's even hard to add a larger shower head without needing a permit or someone saying no in Monterey. And then look at the very bottom here, Monterey County, unincorporated Monterey County. You say, well, gosh, they've just got thousands of square miles and we're just a little city. How come their number's 3,326 only? Well, it's the cities that have the sewer plants and the water connections and the utilities and the roads and access. So in the county, we've got so much of that ag land, we've got all the mountains and places in between, and we don't have sewer plants, so their number's not all that high. But what we're going to do on the next slide is turn that yellow box for Gonzales upside the other way around. So the 1,266 now is in that second column called the renal cycle. And what the housing element did was it analyzed our existing capacity on the ground with maybe a tweak we're going to make with the zoning overlay to see if we can accommodate those numbers to if private parties wanted to propose housing, that we have land areas for them to propose low income housing or even moderate housing. And it turns out between us calculating the land areas, you see the third column says vacant site capacity. We determined that we can got enough land area with a little tweak we're going to talk about in a minute for construction of 1,258 homes. And then the middle column is over this 8-year cycle, we'll probably build about 40 ADUs. And so it turns out that, and let's just go to a number for a minute. See vacant site capacity 709. That's the Diorigo piece. That's the very large piece. And we'll look at that one in a moment. So it's still in our city. It's 138 acres. And if it was constructed at, 7, 8, 9 units per acre, it's got land area to build market rate homes. And we'll just go to the next slide. I'm going to give my compliments to Carmen for having me pare down a very large slide deck, and we're going to try to just get pretty pretty to the point here. So the available sites here, what's notable about the green on the map, other than I've got a laser pointer, but I found it doesn't work. You see the one on Alta, the Diorigo piece at the northern entrance of the city. That's the only one of those green pieces right now that has some structures on it. It's an old work camp that's actually has demolition permits and will be cleaned up right now. But the state at one point, when they said we're that close to certifying our housing element, they gave us instruction, and actually Landwatch weighed in a little bit when we had some of these iterations, that we needed a housing element that wasn't dependent on the Vista Lucia specific plan. Right, we've been talking about all these years, 3,500 homes, going to have all these things. They said, well, what if that doesn't go through? And by the way, your housing element needs to get approved sooner. You need to demonstrate that you've got land area in your city. And so the housing element consultants got pretty creative with the little green boxes you see there off of Catherine Street, which are the vacant parcels just on the south side in the city from the wind turbines. And with the adoption of a workforce housing overlay that with no fewer than 20 units per acre and no more than 30, you add each one of those properties, which is they're each about 2 acres, 2.18. The Alta piece is 3 acres. And the density they would be built at. Anyway, it was determined in this table that we had enough land area that we could meet our RHNA housing needs for especially the very low and low income. And the state basically says, if you adopt those zoning implementation, even in your industrial district like that, we'll certify your housing element. All right, and so, I did get calls from representatives of Taylor Farms and even the Alta properties says, what does this new zoning designation do? Does it mean I have to build housing and I can't build industrial? I said, no, you can still do your industrial. It's an overlay. It's in addition. You choose the value of what you want to do there. We just have to show a color on the map that it's foreseeable that if someone wanted to build affordable housing, they could do it there versus it being at a 0. So those are those numbers. Just moving on, part of the actions tonight on the next slide is that to enable the, next slide please, to enable the workforce housing in the industrial district, we had to add a little language in our general plan, which is the red line that at the bottom, this is an addition, multifamily residential uses are permitted within the applicable affordable housing overlay zone at a minimum density of 20 units per acre and a maximum density of 30 units per acre. Let's just talk about the word for multifamily. It's used interchangeably often with just apartments. We don't foresee, kids and everything running around in the neighborhood here, but we had to tie it to a development standard that we have. And that's our R2 apartment standards. So that's one of the requests tonight before is the general plan land use amendment. And the next one, the next slide is, those rezones. It's a little more specific here, a little more visual detail here. I've actually already introduced it to you. The city also in the housing element had to account for some terms we haven't had in our city code, such as what's a low barrier navigation center, residential care facilities, or transitional housing. So just to let you know, low barrier navigation center, this is big, long word, but if you have someone, I wish we want a real strong program there. Find somebody homeless that we've got, that's recently been thrust out of a home, that we can find the physical, the monetary, and the resources to help them as easy as possible to find new shelter and to do whatever we can to strip down barriers to that. So that's just behind one of those terms. So there are many programs that we're going to be implementing with the new housing element. What's the next slide there, Estella, please? All right. So this is a big sentence for what could have been many slides of tedious screens here. But the city has completed zoning text amendments to comply with state law. And as I've introduced to you, a lot of them are definitions. One of the text amendments is in our R2 district. Is right now it tops out at a maximum of 16 units per acre. We're going to nudge that to 20 and increase a height limit. So maybe that kind of thing is what might incentivize someone to build multiple units. So just for instance, say you had, an older structure that was in need of repair falling down on like 2 acres. The property owner now might say, well, instead of just rebuilding that, city's going to allow me, I could probably put 5 units on there. Why don't I build a small apartment complex or a townhome? So we'd lose 1, but maybe get 4 or 5. We're going to try to incentivize things to encourage housing here. So like I said, we can respond to questions or details in the text if you wish, but I think that's a pretty slick slide at this point. Next screen. Yeah, just to touch base on the environmental review. The environmental review was supplemented by our housing specialist here to demonstrate that colors on the maps and the programs actually don't physically build things in the field with earth, wind, fire, and other ramifications like that. But we found that and also through all the state incentives to build housing and kind of disencumber environmental review or things that are slowing down housing elements, that we think there's justification here for both the zoning ordinance amendment and the general plan actions, including the 6th cycle that were determined to be exempt from CEQA. And so there's a citation here called the common sense exception. Next slide, please. And oh gosh, second to the last slide. Terrible. Just as project schedule, just as we started out, July 14th was Planning Commission's action. We did speak for an hour and hour and a quarter on the matter, and there's questions back and forth. We had a gallery, and public participation for years at the parks and the surveys and everything, and even at Planning Commission have been very interactive, very responsible. We had the live translation that day at Planning Commission, and we had no less than 15 headsets in use. And so it was really great. And there weren't many questions, but people were here and following, and I was really pleased that there was that attendance. The Planning Commission made 3 resolutions that encourage the City Council to take these actions that are before you tonight. And if Council adopts the housing element tonight, I'm going to quote, put it in a box or a big email, and we're going to get it up to the state of California, HCD, by Thursday here. The ordinance actions still have to come back for second reading and then a 30-day, but the general plan housing element will be in effect with the drop of a gavel. Right then, it doesn't have a time delay. So I can put that in a box, and when they look at the city of Gonzales as their house in order, they say, yes, they've got a housing element, or, they still have to adopt it. And the last slide is these are the actions before you tonight. Almost as wordy as when I introduced the item to the slide deck, Paul. So, Mr. Rodriguez, if I could take your lead on direction to the City Council here between the reading by title only and those kind of affairs, once it's on the screen again. Well, I was hoping for it to be visual for the council people because there's 4 actions. It's dead? Sorry? It kicked you out.
Do you have to get back in or?
It is in your packet. All right. I mean, it's very much like how we introduced the item today.
Here it goes. Got it.
There we go. Yeah, full screen, please. More power, Rudolph. So the first recommendation, conduct a notice public hearing. Second action is adopt resolution 2025-51, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Gonzales determining common sense exemption to the I don't? Okay, the Environmental Quality Act. So this is the environmental actions that we're asking you to take action with this resolution. Number 3 on the next page is the resolution that embodies the changes to the general plan, which is the text change for adding multifamily to industrial, as well as the whole six cycle, the several hundred pages that are in here, that part of our general plan. And of course, number 4 here are the implementation aspects of asking you to adopt an ordinance for all those zone codes and changes and additions so that we're now finally caught up with state law and all the changes that have happened over the years. So,
And this is always the case with the introduction of an ordinance, the item number 4 is just for the introduction, the waiver of the read by title only, which Tappan already did, and then you can just take that action, and then it will appear on your agenda at the next meeting for consideration of adoption.
so that concludes staff's presentation, but I can take questions should you have them.
Does anyone have a question for? Go ahead.
I just have a comment. Tevin, I want to thank you for the report. I did receive comments from the public who appreciate the translation and the information that they're getting, whenever folks want to know, what's happening with our housing projects with the city. I tell them, well, go sign up and get on the email list, and that way, you'll be informed. So I think what we're seeing is just residents who are now being able to be more informed about the process and realize just how long it takes for some of these projects to move forward. So just want to thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman.
Ms. Silva?
Yeah, real quick. So who polices the housing element? Obviously, we're in the 6th cycle right now, and the requirement or suggested number is 1,266 units by, I guess, 2031. So is there an agency that oversees that? Because obviously we haven't met the previous
Yeah,
one.
it's a local agencies called Tavin, Kinnison, Brown, and I report to the Office of Housing and Community Development on an annual basis for both the general plan, items that we might have forecast and have programs that we implemented, as well as housing element. APR, annual planning report or something, but I have to tell them all the ADUs we constructed, all the permits that are started but not completed. They like the completed numbers, but what often happens is those cross years and stuff. And so I've got binders as well. And the general practice is to present that report before it goes to the state, to the city council here. And I think we've done that on consent before. So those are due in April, but they keep a pulse on us every year annually.
So even though they have a suggested number, there's no grading system. Like if you meet 20%, you're gonna get a D, and if you meet 50%, you get a C. There's an oversight, but there isn't. I mean, obviously you're reporting, so that's an oversight. I mean, they're getting the information, but we're not meeting their RENA numbers for us in each housing element, right? I mean, am I being confused?
It's a rare city that's made those. In fact, maybe Mr. Rodriguez is more familiar. I think it's Greenfield met their obligation of affordable housing and basically entertain, hey, we've got another project here. Do we have to do the RENA anymore? And evidently this is all anecdotal. No, you did that already. You can have full market rate proposal. And I don't know if that was backtracked. And they said, well, why don't you put some in anyway? But yeah, Greenfield was one of the folks, but I don't think it's a litmus test.
I just don't want the city of Gonzales to get chastised for not meeting even 50% of the RENA numbers in any given cycle.
Yeah, if I could, on AMVAGs, dealt with this for last several years, and there have been changes and to the point within the state requirements, and to that point, there are definitely cities in Southern California that have had not even attempted to do their numbers, right? And so
Got it.
the governor, the governor's office, et cetera, has sued them and so forth and put them through other. So that being said, there's been a number of changes the last several years to require cities to plan. And so that way communities, well, coastal communities that, may not want to build, at least had to put together a plan that identified a pathway, right? Whether or not it ever happened due to legal challenges, et cetera, is another point, right? But I think the point of the litmus test, if you will, there is funding and so forth that can be cut off if you're not meeting certain points, and that's where,
Through the
But
mayor.
they can at least see that we're making an
yes,
effort.
and hence the requirement for the element to be
Got it.
be accepted and so forth, and yeah, then you can't do
Not-
X, Y, and Z if you don't do this.
Right, because I was at.
Comes a
conference-
checkbox.
It's funny that those numbers came up today. I was at a conference in Monterey today and the mayor of Monterey spoke to their RENA numbers. Yeah, and you saw it's like more than twice our numbers.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know where they're gonna put them, maybe in the Del Monte Forest, but, it just struck me as like, well, who polices this? I mean,
Yeah.
but obviously if we're reporting something, at least they know we're making an effort.
Right.
And there's other constraints that are keeping us from moving forward on some of these.
So just to add, in order for us to be eligible, not only can they hold funding back, but even for us to be eligible for state funding, the housing element is a requirement to even have adopted and approved. So that's another step of, why it's important to make sure that we're doing our reporting, that we're up to date on compliance, et cetera.
Okay.
But in terms of the RENA numbers, they also hear all the barriers that local communities have to go through our reporting, et cetera. So they're holding us to that, but they also understand where we're at. So, you have the governor and others putting forth legislation to help decrease some of those barriers to build so that communities could actually meet or at least increase the housing stock.
Maybe that's why they relaxed some of the CEQA requirements recently. Okay, thank you.
All for it.
One last quick question, and I'm not sure if you even took it under consideration, but I know we have the quote unquote Alpine Camp, which is across the railroad tracks there, that's been in back and forth trouble. Eventually, when that sewer capacity fails and their water's already failed, and we connect them to our city systems, do we get counted as them being in us, or is that still a county thing?
Patrick, have you touched on that?
Well, I mean, I don't know the exact answer, but there's 19 dwelling units there now, as I understand it. And I mean, my opinion is we don't get some additional, that's not new units, new dwelling units. So there's no help or,
Us changing the
Well-
jurisdictional line to
right,
city versus county.
right.
Well, actually, it's not with just the sewer line extension. It would take incorporation into the city limit for us to get them. What?
Well, what we have right now regarding Alpine Camp is out of boundary service authorization by LAFCO.
Okay. Not sure how that's fair to see, but that's okay.
Right.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and open this up to the public. Any member of the public wishing to comment on this item may do so at this time.
Yes.
Henry Martinez, are we talking across the river tracks at this camp off River Road?
Yes.
Okay, not to be a
That's in the
buzz,
county right now.
not to be a buzzkill. Salinas is finding out that their residents mixing with their industrial was not a good idea. Because when they had that big giant fire and had that big giant ammonia leak, there was apartments there for rent, they had little apartments around. And that's why I just want to mention that. I don't know if you guys want to mix residential with industrial. And then they had an ammonia leak once in Salinas. My mom had to stay in place because it was blowing towards her way. And I just wanted to bring that up, that you mix it, you might have problems down the road with industrial. That's all I wanted to say. I'm not saying against it or not, but you gotta think forward, not just in the box. You gotta think out of the box. What could happen, mixed it, that's it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes.
Yeah, I agreed with Mr. Martinez not putting commercial next to housing because when we worked on Abbott Street in the car business, we had housing around us. And every single time we would get cars, tires stolen, batteries stolen out of cars, cars keyed, or windows broken out of cars. And most of the time, when somebody got arrested, it was always from the apartment complex right next door, right? So it was easy access, you know, they would just cut the fence and get in. It's pretty easy. But I don't recommend housing next to commercial at all because you see the farmers are already complaining about somebody stole their tractor or whatever. If you put housing, and a lot of times you're gonna have those issues. Thanks.
Thank you.
I don't see anybody else coming in.
Estela, do we have anybody via Zoom?
Yeah.
All right, Henry Martinez Jr. again. I'm up for housing, but doing the right way. Last time you guys tried to put an 8-unit megaplex on the corner of was it Belden and 10th Street with no consideration for the parking on the streets. We fought that, we defeated that, and we will do it again. The reason why we haven't built either is because everything's expensive. You know, I do want to tear down my apartments and build, add more, but then there's also no room for parking. So that's kind of out of the question. You know, there's a lot of things that need to be considered in order to start properly building. But, making leeways for it, making it easier for people is not a way. It's got to be done right.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Anyone else? Estela?
No one else, we have Zoom.
Thank you. Barry, any additional comments via Zoom? Excuse me, via email. Correct. Thank you. Yes. I'm getting away with Zoom. All righty. That being said, then I'll go ahead and close the public comment period and bring it back to council. Anyone want to take a stab at this?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt resolution number 2025-51 as presented.
Second.
We do all.
Can we do?
They have-
do separately or do you have to do multiple?
Let's do something.
Yeah.
The environmental one should be done first. before we take that.
Fair enough. And I'll second that.
Okay, I have a first and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next one.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt resolution number 2025-52 as stated.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we introduce, waive first reading and read by title only ordinance number 2025-152 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Final one.
There's another one?
That
was
was
the
the last one.
That was
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Great, even better. So we are done with that item. All righty, moving on, committee reports. And I have the first one is TAMSI. TAMSI was start July, it was a big, so we had no TAMSI meeting. The next one was the Mayor Select meeting, which we had here, and our gracious host, the 4th Street Tap House, of course, the mayors really enjoy that location. I'm not sure why, but they do. So
It's central location.
central location, lots of parking. Yeah, so nice and cool. Anyway, good meeting. We had, our guest speaker was Supervisor Lopez, who came to the mayors to let us know about the tax issue that we had here at the county. I asked the question, okay, I understand people have already got the bills for the ones that didn't pay, and the ones that did pay, when did they get their checks? And he said that hopefully will happen in September. The amount of money that the county will be refunding back to those local constituents is over $1 million. And again, it'll be sometime in late September. He said early, but I'm gonna go late September to be on the safe side. Liz, you'll be very proud of me. I did ask about the Gonzales River Road Bridge, and he didn't commit to a timeline.
I know.
But he said they were successful, the county was successful in getting $30 million of additional funding to, I guess, some one day build that bridge. So we're $30 million closer to getting it done.
Amen.
That's all I can tell you.
That's
What
good,
day?
that's good news.
I can't tell you. Carmen, did I miss anything, anything of relevance? Okay. Then moving on, Salinas Valley Recycles.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Like a lot of agencies, the Salinas Valley Recycles was dark in July. We'll have our meeting this month on August 21st, 6 p.m. here in our council chambers. Not sure if I reported it before, but I'll let everybody know that Patrick Matthews has submitted his intent to retire as of December 31st of this year. So we will start the process. I have my executive meeting on Wednesday, so we will move forward on that. And that's it.
How many years of public service was that for him? Because I know he worked for the county of Santa Cruz before
Yes,
he
he
came to the
did.
agency.
And he's been here for 17 years for Salinas Valley Recycle. So cumulatively, probably over 30 years
Yeah, that's so.
in his career, well over 30 years. So anyhow,
Well, thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
I'm sorry, I forgot the last item.
Measure K.
Measure K, I apologize. And is
and
that you?
That's me,
That's her.
but we don't have, we haven't had a meeting. We'll have one on the 26th of August. There is one thing though that I did want to bring up. Scott and I met with, prospective youth commissioners. And one of the things that we identified in that meeting was perhaps it might be a good idea to bring one of them into the Measure K committee or a youth a youth commissioner of some kind. So that's just something, that we talked about.
Right.
Right, Scott?
Yep.
Okay, so that's all. Yep, that's all I have, sir.
All right, then let's go ahead with oral communications. We'll start with you, Ms. Worthy, since
Well, I would like to say that that Scott and I were able to meet with our new prospective youth commissioners, Shelby Anderson, Ricardo Rodriguez Perez, and Orlando Rodriguez Perez. It was a joy to meet you, and they're in the back. Two of them are in the back right now. Good to see you guys. And it was just nice to be able to listen to what you had to ask us. Scott and I were able to kind of give them an overview of, what goes on in the city, what goes on in the county, what goes on with, hopefully we will have more of a relationship this year. That's one of the things we talked about as well. And I know all of us up here feel that way. So that was something that we brought up, and thank you to Cindy and to Jessica for putting that together. So I appreciate it. I hope everyone will be very careful because school's about ready to start. So be careful, watch where you're going, watch where you're driving. Hopefully our youth commissioners might be able to share with the rest of the students, instead of looking at your phone while you're walking across the street, maybe you should kind of look where you're going, would be a good thing. So if you would share that with the rest of your classmates, that would be a good thing. All right, that's all I have. I hope everybody had a wonderful summer, and we look forward to starting the new year. Thank you.
Ms. Silva.
I have a couple of things. Supervisor Lopez has relocated his office to King City. It is now located at 1011 Broadway, Suite C. I was there last Thursday for the ribbon cutting. And it was just as windy as it is here. It's a nice office. It was really nice to see how they've laid it out. It's in a building that is owned by the county, so the rent is much more affordable, he said. Staff was there to welcome everybody. He also presented, he has 5 youth team leaders. I can't remember it's like the youth council, but they don't call them youth council. We got to meet them, and they were presented with their certificates of appreciation as well as a nice stipend that is given by the Central Coast Growership Association. So Chris Valadez was there to represent them and give them, this is like the third year that they have presented them with a small token of appreciation, if you would. We got to meet his summer intern. These young people, I mean, we know that our young people have always been shining stars. And of the 5 young leaders that they had, 2 of the ladies are from Gonzales. So I was cheering them all the way. I was in the back of the room cheering them. So I do see things that the young people of our community do. So I thought I recognized you 2 in the back there. I attended a conference today in Monterey. It was California Recycling Resources Association. I was really pleased to be there. The keynote speaker included Chris Lopez. It included Chief Tom Little Bear Nason of the Esalen tribe. Amazing gentleman. I was so honored to be in his presence. He brings a calmness to the whole room. I was very inspired by him today. We saw the youth leaders of the Solid Waste Authority, which is kind of mirrored after our youth here. There were supposed to be 3. There was only 1, and that young lady, she did a great job to ad lib everything. She had great answers for the people in the audience. I was very pleased to see how much she has developed over the 3 years she's been on that youth council team. Okay, for all the Spartan fans in this room, I know I'm the one and only probably, but the Salinas Valley Sports Hall of Fame is going to be on Saturday, August 23rd. They will be honoring the football team. It was the fall of 1974. My brother was a senior, so his varsity football team will be honored and inducted that day. I'm very proud of those young Spartans because, you know, I was his older sister, so I was still cheering even after high school. And last but not least, Monterey County Fair is coming up. I hope that a lot of you get to go and enjoy what our young people and even the older people enter into the fair. It starts August 28th, runs through September 1st. The auction is on Saturday, August 30th. If that's the Saturday, it's the Saturday of that weekend. So, and the other thing that's coming up, so for all of those that like to go over to the peninsula, it'll probably start this coming weekend, and that's the month of cars, beautiful cars coming to our area. So if you have plans to go to Monterey, take a little extra time because you're going to be rubbernecking, looking at all the beautiful cars that are in and around the peninsula right now. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Mr. Funk.
You know, I don't have anything additional to add. All covered. Thank you.
Ms. Orozco.
Thank you. I attended the meeting that Assemblymember Robert Rivas had in King City, and he basically gave us a briefing on the budget and how the federal budget will impact, you know, impact our communities, especially our school districts. So it wasn't a very good presentation in terms of just to hear all the sad cuts that are going to be held. But he also talked about on a brighter side, he did talk about what they're doing to help improve affordability for some housing projects. So that was good. I also like to say that Rotary is having their annual golf tournament this Saturday. And so still, if folks are interested in donating to our silent auction items, we are gladly accept those donations. And that's all I have. Thank you.
I have a few things. I want to start off with, and I'm not sure there's really anything we can do about it, but obviously I can't see it, but I was told by not one person, but several, one of them being my wife, was that she's noticing that it seems like people are taking their own local household trash and using the city cans at the park. Over in front of Pacheco's, there's a big can there. And the property manager told me that he overlooks that, and then he sees people literally come in with trash bags and dump it into that. I guess, you know, we're paying for people's trash. Obviously, I'm just hoping it doesn't become a major problem for us or major cost. And obviously, there's not much we can do about that. you can't stop people from taking advantage of services that should be for just keeping the park clean. They decide that their own household waste, they don't want to pay for the extra larger trash can, so it's easier just to walk over to the park and dump it in there or dump it in front of Pacheco's. I don't know if staff has brought that to your attention, Mr. Dobbins?
Yes, we've heard of this.
Okay, all right, well, I'm not sure if there's anything legal or illegal about it, but so be it. The other thing, and I did forward you the message from the land agent from PG&E. Apparently, they're gonna be doing quite a bit of work on River Road. I hope they're amicable to working with the city and not stopping traffic flow in and out to the industrial park. Cause I would imagine that will create quite a backlog and a headache. I mean, I see that in the evening when everyone's trying to leave town, and in the morning when everybody's trying to roll into town. In that, I would like to ask, if the police department could be a little more diligent about, and if you like, I'll send you the picture, chief, semi trucks driving through our neighborhood. I mean, the large cargo containers, that one I can actually see. And my wife was kind enough to take a picture of it, but you know, I don't know how to stop that, because you said yourself at the last meeting that they cannot be in the residential. Well, I'm telling you, they are. And that's not the first one. I've seen them several times. The next thing is I had a call from Fernando Carvajal from the city of Soledad. He is one of the council members. He told me that at their tot lot over on Metz Road, it's for the challenged individuals. And so apparently these are signage that whether they're blind or they can't speak, they can go to that signage and show the parent what specific structure or what they would like to do in the park. He said he saw that in Coalinga and thought it was a great idea. Believe it or not, each of those signage is $1,500 just for the sign. So he contacted Supervisor Lopez, because obviously we're all in the same boat. We don't have money. And Supervisor Lopez said, you know what, Fernando, I'm willing to fund 2 of them, but I want all 4 communities to say yes, that they will take them and their staff will install them. So I'm gonna put that forward to you guys and have maybe Carmen follow up on that, or Mr. Dobbins, because if Mr. Lopez is kind enough to open his pocketbook and get us those signage, I mean, I would think it'd be in our best interest, because, you know, heck, I may be using those signs in the near future. Now, what part did you want to go, baby? So that was the last thing. The final thing, and this is something I just want to throw out to the council, it's not something that I think is a little 8,000 or 9,000 less community can make a big dent in it. But I really don't watch television, I listen to it, so my thing is like 60 Minutes, something like that, the news. So I was listening to a program on 60 Minutes about Midway Island. That was a big island in the World War II effort that took a lot of lives. Well, it's still taking lives, but now the thing that is taking lives is all the sea creatures. So apparently there's this massive, massive island of trash that collects there for whatever reason, like maybe it's the way the ocean swirls itself. And guess what they're all made out of? Plastic. And you know, it saddens me because I see this throughout our community. I mean, I've sometimes you walk by, you see a garage door open and they literally got stacks of, you know, water. And for 40+ years, I've been drinking the local water right out of the tap. I figured if it's gonna take me, so what? You know, I've had a good life. But so far, I'm still here. I would like to have the council consider banning bottled water and plastic bags. I mean, probably won't make a dent in the ocean, but you know, and I don't even know if it's legal, because I'm probably sure that the plastic bottle industry is gonna come in here yelling and screaming, but we as a community, you know, should be forward thinking and thinking. I know that in several other communities, plastic bags, not even the quote unquote reusable ones are there anymore. You cannot use plastic bags. You want to give out a bag to a customer, you give it to them in a paper bag.
I think Monterey has that now.
Right.
We talked, this community was supposed to be green. We talked about that for how many years in this community. I'm surprised I'm surprised at this. I am. I mean, I bring mine because I want everybody to start doing this.
Yeah.
You know, we should start doing it ourselves, you know.
And I agree with you. I don't bring mine yet because I'm trying to find something that I can hang it on myself. Because I've got this to carry, my flashlight, my cane, so
I'll bring it for you.
We need to get you a wagon.
maybe a wagon, yeah,
Little
but
red wagon.
again, those are thoughts that I had that, again, we're a very, very small community. But I always think that we should be leading that effort because our businesses don't really care. They'll give you a plastic bag anywhere you go
And charge you for it.
and charge you for it. So
Not here.
just food for thought. Now the GYCs, they don't have anything to report, right? Okay. Started until. Okay. The last thing I'd like to ask, and if the police could be a little more diligent on Thursday morning around the schools. I know that there is gonna be a ton of foot traffic, probably starting around 7. So if they could be a little more cautious with those places that are heavy traffic intersections, I'd sincerely appreciate it, and I know the parents would too. Unfortunately, I'm assuming young men, I can't imagine young ladies that love those loud cars and they zip all the way to town. I mean, I can tell they're on 10th Street, but I can hear them clear as day on my side of the street. But, yeah. I don't know. I really don't know what motivates kids nowadays. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I used to love fast cars. Yes, I did. I got a couple tickets to prove it. But I would never, ever consider doing any speeding within a community. God forbid, there's just too many objects that you could potentially hit in the community. I'd usually go the back roads. So if Chief, you could have a couple officers kind of swing by there on a regular basis, just until people get accustomed to it. And again, I thank Public Works for clearly defining the crosswalks. That I'm sure will help tremendously. Not that kids won't cross at angles, but you can only do so much. All righty, that's my 5 cents. Ms. Gill, you're
Yes.
city manager.
Just real briefly, actually, Councilmember Silva, I do want to let you know that Tom Little Bear was actually quite helpful to us when we were gearing up stuff with the USDA loan for the community center. So he was kind enough to write a letter for us back then. So anyway,
Well, he was awesome. I mean, I had never heard him speak and I was in awe of this gentleman today.
yeah, so he definitely helped us without even knowing us too. So we appreciate his support in that effort as well. I just want to mention that at the next meeting, we have 2 folks stopping by. I think people just want to visit our town. We had somebody from Hawaii last time. We're going to have Joe Matthews from LA, who is a publisher, columnist, who often writes stories on our town, along with Bruno Kuffman, a global democracy columnist and author of various publications. He writes about direct democracy at the local and transnational level. Stop by. He's coming all the way from Sweden to check out our little town. He's going to be putting a publication together where he is going to be highlighting leading places worldwide. And he wants to learn more about Gonzales. He's heard about Gonzales online and done some research on us. And so they plan to be here on the 18th, meet with me, and then I've invited them to come in and say hello to you guys in the evening. So pretty neat. Somebody from Sweden that, wants to tell our story. So, and then the only other thing I have is movie night Friday at 8 o'clock again. Those are a hit these days. And so you've got the time. And then Mr. Dobbins has a bit of an update on a few things.
So update and great news on the continuing saga of the 5th Street truck ban project. So what is it? About 2 weeks ago, opened 2 bids. You awarded the slurry seal contract tonight. I also opened bids that same day on the rebid of the 5th Street truck bans. And you'll remember that we bid it 2 years ago. $71,000. Turned out I didn't have the funding source that I thought I had. We rebid it, open bid, same bidder, $121,000. But hold on. And so we'd, the funding going into that was 53,000 of RSTP money from TAMC that's allocated to us every 3 years, $30,000 out of Measure K. I thought I had enough. The really good news is TAMC had some unallocated RSTP money. I let the staff know that this was here's what the city's ask is about $38,000 and change, and that would close the funding budget. And when I was looking at the agenda for the TAMC TAC for this Thursday, there's a staff report in there, and our project is the number one to get that $38,000 to then move forward with the, council's, one of your top priorities, get those signs up to enact the Fifth Street truck ban. So, so I believe what will happen is that'll go to the TAMC TAC. Of course, we will all approve that. And then it'll go, I hope that it'll go to the September meeting at the TAMC board and it'll get approved. So then I can come before you at the first meeting in October to get this contract authorized. And then we're off to the races getting that project to happen. So thank you. Yes, it's definitely been quite the saga. We were wondering, all right, now what? Now where were we going to find the money? So it was great to have TAMC staff come and say, hey, everybody, we've got this additional money. Let us know where you might want to use it. That is all I have.
I'd like you to report on the state visit today too,
Oh,
just
okay.
briefly.
Thank you. All right. So this is at the wastewater treatment plant. We'd had a new regulator from the State Water Resource Control Board in San Luis Obispo. There was a transition about 4 months ago. And we had a really good relationship with the last one, Christina, almost. Bottom line is they can see the progress that we're making. They can see that we're advancing our efforts around improving the city's wastewater system, the city's wastewater treatment plant. So today was a visit by our new regulator, Kathy, and we've been in communication for a couple of months. There was good overlap with the last one. Drove around the treatment plant. Yes, we continue to struggle getting rid of our treated water. We have spray fields set up and using our pond that we constructed in December. And then they also got to see that we're underway on the construction of the industrial wastewater treatment facility itself. So they know that we're moving forward. So just a really good visit by our state regulator. Definitely it's always great when the agency is advancing, proceeding, and things of that nature. We're moving as fast as we can. So a very good visit, a positive visit by our regional board staff person.
So everything okay? Like, you don't foresee any surprises toward the end of the year or anything like we had last year with the ponds?
So what the goal is that the industrial wastewater treatment facility contractor digs new disposal beds in the next couple of months. They're out there grading now, and that we actually are able to move water, treated wastewater into those ponds, and drain our disposal fields that are have slowed down in their percolation, right? And that we drain those fields one at a time. We're able to jump into those disposal fields and rehabilitate them. And an example is we had geotechnical work recently done at the emergency basin at the treatment plant. And what we basically found is there was about a foot of soil at the top that was too fine. It was slowing down the percolation. We removed that soil and it's percolating much, much better. So we envision that's the same thing that's going to happen at our disposal fields, because we don't call them ponds, because that means standing water. That we do the same thing, sequentially with the 3 disposal fields that we have at the existing plant. And then we'll be able to move the water back to those rehabilitated disposal fields. I have to keep remembering field. And then basically get through the winter on those, on the interim ponds at the industrial wastewater facility.
Those parties, now that Councilmember Sullivan and I have been out there, we kind of know sort of how it works.
Yes.
And I just wanted to make sure that we're gonna be okay in that situation, so, wait, you have it, sounds like you guys are working.
It's still a challenge. It's not a good situation. We're getting rid of as much water as possible. And one of the contractor on the industrial wastewater treatment facility threw out the idea of them using our treated water. And that actually went to the regional board, and at their first review is, well, you've got to treat it and things of that nature, and that's not ideal. But what we heard today is, no, we actually think that you should use that. We'd rather see it used on the industrial wastewater treatment facility than maybe closer to the river, with a chance to get to the river, which I say, it is no chance in heck to get to the Salinas River. That's just not going to happen. But they would prefer that we actually now allow the contractor to use it as they're doing their grading, and this water be used for dust control. So that's the path we're going down. Right now, the contractor's using groundwater that's not potable from the Violini property out there. And so would this be better or even cheaper for the contractor to not have to pay Violini for this water and just use the city treated wastewater for dust control instead? And we're at that point in the project where they need a lot of water for dust control. They have 2 water tenders out there running around spraying water because they're doing a large grading operation out there.
Is that water considered gray water?
Yes, it is. That's exactly right.
Thank you.
Now, are we far enough along in the design of the future industrial wastewater plant to know what size switchboard we're gonna need out there?
Yes, we've known that for several years.
Okay, so then I'm assuming, and I better be careful assuming, that we have gotten our request into PG&E.
Absolutely.
And that
That's right.
we've hopefully pre-ordered that board. I'm assuming it's probably in the thousands.
So it has not been pre-ordered. We're actually, the contractor's not hearing back from the Caltrans. I'm sorry, I misspoke. PG&E staff. Our application we're done. The design is done. We went through Caltrans, but now as the contractor's trying to make a submittal, get in the queue with PG&E. So now I'm having to elevate that to government affairs.
Really, usually you go online, submit your application, give a permit number, and it's assigned to a rep. And once the rep has got it, then,
It's been assigned to a rep for several years.
okay, so I'm assuming it's probably Jose Saldana. He's the
I
industrial
be-
power
I
engineer.
believe that's correct.
Okay, I'll follow up with him. But my concern is that we begin all this construction and we don't end up like the community center, which I'm assuming have gotten their switchboard in, correct?
Yes, so we received the switch gear 1 week early after 60 weeks. So I know so we received switch gear July 26th, and it's been installed. There was actually a PG&E pre-inspection today to make sure everything was ready for the final inspection that's scheduled for next week. And then there was contact made with the government affairs folks. And what I say is we'd like PG&E field staff to jump out of their shoes and get this done rather than the normal 5 weeks, because that will accelerate our critical path and overall project completion of the community center.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
That's it, okay. Oh, that's right.
Yes, as somebody mentioned that, National Night Out tomorrow, 6 PM to 8 PM on 4th Street from the police department. Invite the community to come out. And just real quick on the topic of signs, the city's in dire need of updating signs throughout the city. No turning this way signs, do not enter this way signs, non-truck route signs in neighborhoods, residential areas. I believe the enforcement on the non-truck route is ordinance passed by council, which you've done. And then signs being posted to tell people they can't be, driving a big rig through a residential section because it's designated as a non-truck route. So those are a couple problem areas with enforcement, unless we happen to find and see on view a truck and the officers know that the signs are posted and or being enforced. So anyone that sees big rigs in residential areas, feel free to call as it's occurring. It's easier to go out there and take care of the issue as it's happening than hear about it at a council meeting later on when there's really nothing we can do about it then. As far as the topic goes at the school, every year the officers are out there during school when it starts. We stay out there as much as we can throughout the school year. So rest assured that that has happened and will continue to happen. So that's all I have.
Okay. Nothing else, Carmen? Okay, Mr. Rodriguez, would you please read us into this closed session?
Item 11 on the agenda is that the city council will recess closed session to consider personnel matters pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B1, city manager evaluation. And so with no further ado, we'd ask you go ahead and adjourn to closed session.
Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned. We will be going into closed session so we can clear the council chambers.
Right?